Welcome to this unidentified channel. Today we are going to talk about what happened at the April 28th hearing and what has happened since then. Did you watch that hearing? The last time we talked was right after the March 22nd hearing. We scheduled the change of venue for June the 9th, and he blocked off the whole day so that any other motions that they wanted to file, they could file and see if we could get them in on this June 9th date. John Pryor requested information regarding 30 pieces of discovery. And so Rob Wood addressed that after that hearing, saying he has no request for specific information and that he had turned over everything and that he had just received some new information that he would be sending his way, and that Rob Wood was going to have the DNA tested on some tools and from an apartment. So that's really all we know. I've heard Chad's tools, but we don't know what apartment. And he let the defense know that once he did this testing that the DNA would be gone, like he would use it all. And so the DNA was like, no, don't do that. Judge, please stop this. So John Pryor had requested this, not emergency hearing, but a fast hearing, like, get this on the books. We need to get in front of you on this matter before the DNA is gone. So that's what happened, and really the judge really didn't even have to get involved. Once the defense made the request, Rob Wood said he would not use up all of that DNA until the defense got their team together or their experts together or whatever. That's pretty much what happened in the April 28th court hearing. When the court does come into session and they come out of the breakout session, the judge said that he had discussed the matter with counsel, who was Mr. Wood and Mr. Pryor. He did not mention Mark Means, and that they had discussed it in an off-the-record discussion, and that they would agree to continue this as they couldn't get it resolved today. We have to wait. It was agreed. Rob Wood agreed. He wouldn't use up all of the sample until the defense had put their team together. So that's where we are right now. As far as I know, no other motions have been filed, and our next court hearing is June the 9th. Will be an all-day affair. However, some breaking news came out on Friday night, and as of right now, Court TV is the only one reporting on it. Court TV did a segment on breaking news on the Daybell case, saying that a grand jury is being subpoenaed and will convene on May the 17th, and they have blocked off 4 days, the 17th through the 20th, for the grand jury. I would imagine you guys go out and look for information in different places. One of the places that I've come across for good information is a newsletter written by Lori Ellis. She is a retired defense lawyer, and she writes this newsletter on the Daybell case on a pretty regular basis. She wrote a little segment about the grand jury process and what that even means, and so I'm just going to go over some points that I learned researching the grand jury process. So here we go. In Idaho, it is not common to use the grand jury. And so when you have felony accusations, like the accusations being made would bring upon a felony. Does that make sense? So you have two options. You can, one, have a preliminary hearing, which we saw with Chad Daybell. Chad had the preliminary hearing back in August, and Rob Wood laid out evidence to prove he had a case, and the judge got to decide if we could move to have a trial, or if there wasn't enough evidence, they would just throw everything out. So with the preliminary hearing for Chad Daybell, they did find enough evidence to move to a trial. And then Lori Daybell's preliminary hearing was set for right after Chad's, and they waived that. I'm guessing because there was enough evidence to get a trial for Chad, they would show the same evidence for Lori, and there would be enough. The other way to go would be to summons or subpoena a grand jury. So what happens with the grand jury is the court summons a group of people that would qualify to be on the grand jury, and they summons them to show up for a specific period of time. And the judge will interview them. I don't know if that's the right word, but he will vet them and make sure they are a good candidate to be on the grand jury for this specific case. And then 16 people will be qualified out of all the people that were subpoenaed. And once the judge sits 16 people on the grand jury, then the prosecutor will begin to go over all the evidence they have to bring charges on these people. And the way I understand it is there is no judge, the people being accused are not there, there is no defense attorneys. The prosecutor's there to show the evidence to this grand jury. The grand jury can ask questions, they can have witnesses come in, we can have an open conversation about things. Hearsay can be brought in when dealing with the grand jury. Another key factor with the grand jury is it's all done secretively. We don't get to see it. We don't get to know anything about it. Whereas in the preliminary hearing, we got to watch that all happen live. That won't happen with the grand jury. It will all be very secretive, behind closed doors, no judge, and the prosecutor lays out what they have. This is scheduled for 4 days, so come May 20th, hopefully they are done presenting all the evidence and the grand jury will be able to decide if they want to bring charges or not. Who has requested the grand jury? Is it Rob Wood? Is it Rachel Smith? Or is it Lindsay Blake? Now, Lindsay Blake is the new prosecuting attorney for Fremont County. She did request that Tammy Daybell's case be returned to her when she took office. She wanted, Fremont County had handed that case over to the Attorney General of the state, and so Lindsay Blake asked for that back. We know the autopsy report has been completed. We don't know the results. We know Rob Wood hasn't been given the results. The grand jury is being summoned for Tammy Daybell, J.J. Vallow, and Tylee Ryan, all three. We also know Rob Wood is a special prosecutor, so he can prosecute in any Idaho county along with Rachel Smith. She came in as a special prosecutor also. And so what I've seen is, I've seen people say Lindsay Blake ask for the grand jury, then I've seen Rob Wood ask for the grand jury, and Rob Wood and Rachel Smith asked for the grand jury. Now, the way that Lori Ellis explained it, that all three of them are doing this together. Now, I'm going to read her little clip on how she explained what she thought was happening on who was requesting we get a grand jury together. All right, she says, interesting question. Fremont County's newly elected prosecutor did take Tammy's case back from the AG. The children's bodies were found in Fremont County. Chad's house is just over the county line between Madison and Fremont. Rob Wood and Rachel Smith have both been appointed special prosecutors, which means they can operate out of any county in Idaho. I think all three will be involved and that there will be 2 indictments, one for Tammy's death and one for JJ and Tylee. I expect Blake will prosecute Tammy's death and Wood and Smith will keep JJ and Tylee's case. Many people have jumped to the conclusion that there is some sort of political rift between Wood and Blake, but I doubt it. There's plenty of cases to go around. Now, that was said by Lori Ellis, replying to a comment that someone had made on her newsletter asking who had requested the grand jury, because in her newsletter she talked about the point of view that it was from Rob Wood and Rachel Smith. And so she just came back to answer a commenter's question where they had said something to the effect of, I thought Lindsay Blake was the one that wanted this together. So that's how she answered it. Tell me what you think. Who do you think called for the grand jury? Who do you think's going to be in there? And do you think the grand jury will indict? Indictments will be filed. What indictments? Do you think the grand jury will indict Lori and Chad on murder charges? Tell me what you think is going to happen when the grand jury is finished reviewing all of the evidence presented by the prosecution. It's going to be interesting. We're not going to get to know a lot of the evidence at this time. Hopefully, the grand jury will convene in Fremont County at the Fremont County Courthouse beginning May 17th. 4 days blocked out, May 17th through May 20th. Now, we haven't seen Nate Eaton report on this. We haven't seen Justin Lum report on this. The only people that have reported on this happening is Court TV, and then Lori Ellis did a newsletter based on Court TV's breaking news. So, that's where the information is coming from. I did look. I looked all over, everywhere I knew to look. I couldn't find any kind of court documents and whether the grand jury would be getting together on May the 17th in the Fremont County Courthouse. If they do, I would look for Nate Eaton to report on it come Monday, May 17th. We will just have to wait and see. That's all the new information that I have found over the past couple of weeks. Still looking forward to the June 9th court hearing. If you know why the judge only addressed Mr. Wood and Mr. Pryor and not Mr. Means, let me know. I don't know why he was not included when the names were said as who the judge discussed the issues with in the breakout session, but his name was not mentioned by the judge, but he was there at the hearing. So is everything going on with the Lori side of things on pause until they figure out if Rachel Smith can be added to that case? I just don't know why Lori's side of things isn't being addressed. If you know, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, let me know where you're watching from. Thanks for being here with me, and I will see you next time. Yeah. I don't know. Do you know? Yeah, so where they had scheduled the judge to hear the change of what do you think the charges? The court is, I don't know why there's a truck going by, loud noise. So you have evidence that come May 20th, hopefully, hopefully, is that right? Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. What charges will they be? Until the defense is, Rob Wood, John Pryor spoke about some evidence. John Pryor, we need to have to wait for when you have felony, and then Vallow Daybell's and how, I guess.